Hello, I'm Johnny Scoble, and this is Chase the Heat, South America. Thank you for being here. Hello, Mr. Bowie. Star Wars quote off. Archie's mom, hello there. Krista, Melinda, and Jane. How wonderful. Hello, Lisa Trimble. And thank you for the 5x5. Look at this. One of those days. It was on this chat that I told everyone when he lost his first tooth. And I started coming around for he was 4. I don't know where the time went. My daughter is in med school. Trust me, I get it. I promise you. Hello, Wes Lightburn, Cindy G, Dylan Ashley. Hello there. Jeremy Fowler. Hey, if you all could hit the like button, that would be fantastic. I got an interesting story to tell you. A couple, maybe. One that some of you may have heard, but you may hear it a little bit differently, and one nobody's heard. Well, maybe one person. What an interesting day. Are those tears going to flow until he graduates? That's how it works. Definitely how it works. So let me tell you what happened today. Hi, Ann78. Thanks for being here. So I woke up this morning. Barella, greetings. And I felt it was kind of an off day from the jump. Just felt a little off. I think probably poor sleep for a while is the culprit. I haven't had good sleep for a while. However, it is what it is. So it was an off day. Then today at 12:38, just going to be straight with everybody. It's in the bathroom. Looking in the mirror, getting ready to walk out the door. And hello, Renee B. I looked at Katie. Katie follows me everywhere. She's like a dog. I kid you not. When I leave, sometimes I go out and Tommy stays here. Hi, Robert Pops, Red Springs. I'll walk out the door and Katie will stand at the door and just stare at the door until I come back. So she was in the bathroom looking at me, and I looked at her, and she has a fat tail. She's a Maine Coon cat, so her tail is always kind of poofy anyway. Cats, when they get stressed out or something scares them or they're angry, they get fat tail, poofy tail. Well, I'm looking at her. I'm going, your tail looks bigger than normal. She had a poofy tail. I'm like, that's kind of odd because Squirrel was sleeping in the basket. And her eyes looked at me. She had a kind of a crazy look, and I thought maybe it's just the zoomies, and she ran out of the bathroom. Then I'm 230 feet up here, people. And then the building started to move. I thought maybe I was crazy. Was sitting on the counter. I wasn't touching it. Hi, Susie. I felt like the ground was moving. Then I looked at the glass, and it was doing this. It was doing this inside. We had an earthquake. I've been through 3 of them. This was my third. But the first one happened. I was on the stairwell in Vermont. Kind of grabbed the stairwell. The house shook. That was kind of interesting. The second time, I was a freshman in college. I was laying in my bunk, and we had an earthquake, and the bunk started moving. I was just waking up. I thought to myself, I'm not shivering. Why am I? It was weird. I'm not cold. I don't know why this is happening. Because I thought maybe I was shivering because the bed was moving. It was suspended with chains from a wooden structure we made. Hi, Barbara. So good to see you. So and that was on the 3rd floor of a 6-story building. Now I'm like off the ground. It was kind of interesting. So I wasn't sure what was going on. I thought, here's the thing that's funny. I thought maybe I'm crazy because there's been several times where I've been standing around and it feels like it's moving. I'm like, it's not moving. It's just my imagination. So then I did a little research and I found that today at it was 12:23. It was in Guayaquil. There was a 3.6. They call it a tremor. And I got news for you. Anytime the terra ain't firma, the terra firma, it's an earthquake. I don't care. You can call it a tremor. If you're in the bathroom and building's doing this, it's an earthquake if you ask me. This is Ann with an E. YouTube has changed my name to my handle, and I hated it. It wouldn't let me change it back to Ann with an E. Ugh, I'm here and all is well. I'm glad you're here, Ann with an E. I appreciate you being here. We'll recognize you as Ann with an E. Do earthquakes happen here often? It's almost like, you know what? It's almost like Renee timed that question for what I was about to read. So I went online and I started Googling, right? Want to find out? I learned indeed it was a 3.6 tremor. unless it's like tremor is what happens to somebody else. It's like minor surgery is only minor when it happens to somebody else. If you're having it, that's major surgery, you know? Listen to this. In Googling this is what I discovered. Ecuador, Guayaquil in particular, which is only 60 miles away, has had a total of 892 earthquakes with a magnitude of 4 or above in just the last 10 years. It comes down to a yearly average of 89 earthquakes a year, or about 7 per month. On an average, the average earthquake hits Guayaquil nearly every 4 days. So that's what I found out. Kind of crazy. I was kind of excited about being high up. Now I'm like, the lower levels look pretty cool to me. Charles Everidge, good to see you. Thank you for being here. You got lit up from a handful of Reaper corn nuts from Blazing Foods. Those are hot, Charles. They'll get you. Very warm. Hi, Connor. Good to see you. Gauthi, good to see you. Thank you for being here. If you guys could hit the like button, that would be outstanding. Susie, looking spectacular in green. Thank you, Susie. It's very, very cool. Hi, Arwa. Tomorrow, I'm making a video for people with a bus pass. So good timing, Susie. So tomorrow, look for that. There'll be a bus pass only video coming out. It won't be a live stream. It'll be a video, or maybe it'll be a live stream. One or the other. I'll flip a coin. Wildfires are everywhere. Everything is everywhere. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Is there not? I watch the news. Every day, it seems like this happens. Like, it's crazy. I saw another one today. Bizarre. Very bizarre. Tony Zutter, good to see you. Okay, so I want to kind of tell you guys about something that, there's only do, there's no try. Where did my prop go? I had a prop, and you know what? The cat probably took it. Here, we'll use this for a prop. My inhaler, because I used it right before I went live. Breathing issues. Always had them. It's not a big deal. Are you ready? Ready for the demonstration to set this whole talk up? Brandon Collins, good to see you. As you're coming in, please hit that like button. More people will end up here. Thank you. Good to see you. Hi, Roberta. Okay, ready? And she's having a rough day. Oh, hope you're having a good day. Working on it. It's getting better now. So here we go. You ready? Okay. Scared squirrel. Now, I can try to pick that up, right? I can try to pick that inhaler up, or I can pick it up, right? Is there really a try? I'm either going to pick it up or I'm not going to pick it up. Can we all agree on that? I'm going to pick it up now. I might need it. So that, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about is, do we try to do stuff or do we do it? I'm human like everybody else. It's kind of the way it works. We try to do things, and it's interesting. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. This is the one that I said that a lot of you have heard. I'm going to show it to you in a different way today. I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to show you. So years ago, I was actually I'm an older dude. I was a young guy at one time. You guys obviously know that. I'll show you a couple pictures. This is a medal I won for running a marathon in Siberia, central Siberia, in a city called Omsk, which is the capital city of Siberia. It's funny how the whole thing came together. Before I show you some photos, I'll tell you how this came together. One day, my cousin of mine called me and said, "Do you want to go to?" Let me set up right. I was in church. It was a Sunday. And the pastor started the service by saying, "Yes, yes, yes. Tassie Dalt, good to see you." That's my answer. What's your question? And he went on to say, "Be careful. You pray that because you never know what God's going to ask you." So like an arrogant young punk that I was, I said, "Yes, yes." And I got home and the phone rang as I was walking in my apartment. And it was my cousin. She said, Natalie, her name is. She goes, "What are you doing this summer?" I said, "Surfing. Just trying to, not to do a lot." And she said, "You want to go to Russia?" And I swear to you, I said, "Yes." I didn't hesitate, didn't pause. I said, "Yeah, you bet. I want to go to Russia." And she said, "Good, buy a pair of running sneakers because you're going to run a marathon. We're going to do it to raise money for an orphanage." So I said, I didn't even hesitate. Now, I was 200 pounds. I was kind of at a chunky point. I was, part of it was muscle, but I was 200 pounds. And to put it in perspective, I'm 175 right now. So I was, much heavier. But I had never run. I was an athlete my whole life and a pretty good one. But the running that I did, we do 100-yard sprints in football. I was a great tennis player, so it's all short stuff. I never ran long distances ever. I had never run a mile. I think I did it once in gym class. They made us run a mile. Hi, Kellyanne. It's very good to see you. Thank you for being here. So this was going to be a tall order. So I went out that day and I bought the most expensive running sneakers that I could afford. And I didn't have a lot of money. I was broke. And I bought those because I knew I was cheap enough that if I spent a lot of money on a really good pair of running sneakers, I wasn't going to waste them. So I immediately tell Tommy, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to Russia. He thought I was crazy. I said, I'm going to start today. It was 90 days. I'm telling you the truth. The day that she called me to the day of the race was 90 days. Not like 91, so the next day starts the 90. It was 90 days from the day I picked up the phone and said, yeah, I'll go. And I was 200 pounds and I'd never run a mile one time in gym class. I remember it actually. Coach Kennison made me do it. So anyway, I said to Tommy, you got to go. Herb Portillo, thank you for being here. There is Herb. That's a good dude right there. Hi, Sam. Herb, thank you for being here. You can hear it in my lungs. I got it going on today. So I immediately went to Tommy and said, dude, I'm going to run a marathon. He's like, you're not going to run a marathon. I hate to tell you, but you're not going to run a marathon. You don't run. I said, well, run with me tonight. I'm going to start training today. Tommy Bird, good to see you. Here we go. Chunky, he says. I'm down to 211. I thought I was doing good. My heaviest, I was like 250. I don't know how tall you are. My heaviest ever, Dane Young, good to see you. My heaviest was 230. You should have seen me at 230. Now, granted, there was a lot of muscle on there, but still 230. P14A mechanic. Hello from Arizona. Good to see you. So anyway, that first day, I don't even think I stretched. I put some shoes on that I had just bought, and Tommy put on rollerblades. And we went like 2.5 miles, I think was the first day. And I was logging what time I ran, what my time was. I logged every single day. I'm glad I did that. At the time, my mom ran her business growing up. She owned daycare centers, and one of the fathers of one of the kids was a doctor, a physician, who was an older dude, probably my age now. Isn't that funny? In fact, I might be older than he was then, but it's an older man's sport, running. And he kind of gave me some pointers. And when I told him the next day, I said, I'm going to run a marathon. He goes, when is it? And he was very encouraging. Jacob, good to see you, bro. Hit the like, dude. I'm glad you're here. I've not found him. I sort of have. I haven't collected him yet, but I found a source. So he said, he goes, when are you running? When is the marathon? I said, in 90 days. He said, as a doctor, first he says, as a runner, I'm telling you, you really can't do that. Because I had told him I had never run before. And he goes, as a physician, I'm telling you, it's a really bad idea. Don't do it. Anyway, that first day of running, the day before, we went running and we finished it. Tommy was so dead. His ankles were killing him, and he was on rollerblades. And I was probably in better shape than Tommy was after that. But I took it really seriously. There wasn't a try involved. I wasn't going to try to. I never, ever said, Blitz, good to see you. I swear to you, I never once said, I'm going to try to run a marathon. There was no try involved. Jason Ledford, good to see you. It was foolish, I didn't have enough time to really train for it. But my whole life has been like that. I don't ever consider failure. Failure is going to happen. This channel is a good example. Look at some of the stupid things I've done eating hot stuff. There wasn't really a try involved. I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? So that's what this marathon was. Let me show you just a couple pictures. Get ready to see a very young Johnny Scoville. All right. You figure out how old I was. This race happened in 93, I think it was. See the date on this thing. Let me show you the first picture. This is myself and some of the folks that went with me on this trip to Russia, to Siberia. Oh, I'm not even in this picture. Excuse me. These are other. I think I took that picture. The woman in the very, very center with the sunglasses on, my grandmother. She was 85 at the time. And believe it or not, she finished the 5K portion. The race actually happened on July 8th, 1993. So long time ago. This is me actually finishing the race. I was hitting my watch to stop the timer because I was excited about the time. It was brutal. It was an ugly race. It was hard. This is a picture. This is a really cool picture. Along the race while I was running, Rick Spicer, good to see you. Lilac Lime, good to see you. Thank you for being here. So along the race, about, I don't know how far it was. It was in kilometers, but to the best of my memory, it was around 20 miles. There's this guy in front of me. We were running step by step. He was older than me. I'm way older than him now, but he was older than me then. And he fell down. He couldn't do it anymore. And I said, come on, let's go. I helped pull him up, and we took off running. And then about a mile later, my left leg locked up, just locked. Like I couldn't bend it for a few minutes, and I just kind of stopped, and I kind of got to my fanny, and he grabbed me and pulled me up and goes, "Come on, let's go." And it was great. We were pushing each other on, and then as we rounded the last corner, it was about half a mile stretch to the finish line, and he went down, and I tried to pull him up, and he couldn't go any further. He kind of waved me on, and I wasn't going to stop, so I kept running. But this is a picture when he finally got up and finished it. And he said he wanted to sign my vest. So see, he was much older than me. I am way older than him now. Anyway, that's me, believe it or not. He signed, I had hair. He signed my jersey at my runner's bib there. And then after that, I signed his runner's bib, which was kind of a cool memory, But I finished the race in 4 hours and 20 minutes. And it was a brutal thing. Grandma Rocks. Let me tell you about Grandma Rocks. In the last stretch, right before I crossed the finish line, I got passed by a babushka in street shoes. And I swear to you, Natalie Strasser, I'm glad to see you. It's the truth. She passed me in this last Cliff Ann, good to see you. In the last straightaway, she passed me. And I know she didn't like step on the last corner just to kind of finish. She ran that marathon. I saw people in street shoes all day long. The whole thing was finished in 4 hours and 20 minutes. But the reason I went over was to raise money for an orphanage. And this last picture I'm going to show you, in the orphanage, there was a young kid. I'll show you the picture. There's a young kid, the red hair. His name was Sergey. He pulled himself. You can kind of see his genes. He pulled himself everywhere he went because he couldn't move from the waist down. His upper body, you have no idea the way his muscles were, like a rock. And we gave him that wheelchair. It was a pretty special moment. I found out afterwards that it's such a corrupt country, as soon as I got back, I found out that as soon as we had left the orphanage took the wheelchair from him and sold it for money. It's a bummer. Look at that young hottie. He was a nice kid, that kid Sergey. It's a nice thing to say. He was a good young man. I think about him sometimes, You don't look a day older. You're right. I look like 5,000 days older, blitz. But shit and doom, good to see you. But I swear to you, it's not a brag thing. I'm not joking, but I never, ever considered that I could fail that. It didn't even cross my mind. Hello, Chili Phil. And one of the reasons is I told everybody that I was going to run a marathon. Everybody. And I told them, I went around like my barber, a guy named Willie. He only had three fingers on one hand. We called him Three-Fingered Willie. That was his nickname. I didn't name him that. He used to, every once in a while, if I was going on a date or something, I'd get a straight razor shave. And you have him shave you with a straight razor. It was a crazy feeling. Anyway, so he would give me like a certain dollar per mile. I told everybody I was going to run it because it was like burning bridges. There was no way I was going to come back and tell everybody that I didn't finish it. When I came back, somebody said to me, "Did you win?" Which is the funniest thing in the whole world. Even everybody that crosses the finish line wins. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing. So I said, "You bet I won. You bet I won. I think you owe me some money, don't you?" Anyway, there's only do. There's no try involved. Here's a couple of things I think we can all do to make sure that you don't try to do anything that you do. Everybody's got a marathon they're dealing with. We all have things that we have to do. You have things on your list and things in your back of your mind that you don't want to think about. You shove away because you don't want to do them, that you have to. There's no trying to do anything. And I'm talking to me, not you. I hope you realize that. Change your language from I'll try to I am to I will, or no try, do. Change your if when you say I'll try, you know what happens when you say I'll try? You got to change your language. Because every day, I swear to you, every day I get emails from people saying, I'm trying to do this. Try is such a big thing. It's a theme. It comes up all the time. The problem with trying is that just by saying the word trying, you're suggesting there's opportunity for something other than completion. Thomas Smith, I am in South America. Experienced my first South American earthquake today at 12:33. Yep, I'm in South. Thank you for being here, Thomas Smith, by the way. I appreciate that. If you say try, it's suggesting that you can fail. That you're saying right off the bat, there's a chance I won't do this. So I would suggest, and I say that you probably have somebody, I promise you, somebody in this chat has got that email from me where I say, well, first of all, stop saying try. And I've said it so many times, I figured it was about time to be talking about it because it's a theme. Everybody, I promise you, there's only 43 of us here, and thank you all for being here, but I promise you, every single one of us is something we're trying to accomplish. I will, I can, I do. Seriously, change the way you're talking about it. Thank you, Archie's mom. Change the way you talk about it. Change what you say. Because when you speak it, Ecuador, and the Salinas is the city in Ecuador, South America, in the Amazon basin. But it's the truth. Change the way you talk. Because we talk to ourselves. We have an internal dialogue that's always going. We all do. I'm going to go make a sandwich. I've got some. We have an internal dialogue. It's like narrating the film of your life. Change the way it's talking to you. Because the minute you put it out there and you say, I'm going to try, there's already a chance you aren't going to get it done. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Saying you'll try leaves the option of failure. Saying I'll do doesn't. It's the truth, Squirrel was sleeping just where she is now in the basket. Katie follows me everywhere. I was in the bathroom. I was about to walk out. I was looking in the mirror, and she had her tail got puffier than normal. Her eyes got kind of big. I thought it was the zoomies, and she took off. And then just seconds later, it happened, and it shook like it didn't shake like this. It was a rocking. It wasn't a shake. It's hard to explain. It was a rocking, not a sharp, strange thing. Blitz. I do 20 push-ups twice a day, and sometimes I push myself to do more. My arms are very strong. That's awesome. It's a good thing to do. Props to you, for real. Marty Mongoose. Yes, I caught a stream. Been really, really busy. God bless you all. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. Connor says language is powerful. It really, really is. No joke. Look at this. Thomas Smith ordered the Pure Evil Texas Creek Pure Capsaicin 1 million Scoville. The drops you're talking about, right? They sell them in 5 and then 13 also. Pretty crazy. Storm 118.28. Okay, Johnny, I'll try to do better. I see what you did there. But thank you for being there. But I promise you, if you try, here's the thing. Trying is better than not doing. You're right, but I think if you went at it without saying trying, and you fail, you're failing forward. And you're still failing forward if you attempt. I'll give you that. But I think every endeavor I've ever done, if I went into it thinking I'm trying to do something, I wouldn't have had the results over a period of time that I've had by saying I'm doing something. I do agree with you, though. I promise you, trying is better than doing nothing. Because too often we do nothing, and I'm guilty of that a lot. I have 5 acres in Arizona that I got for leaving San Diego with no job or money. Now I own my land, my house, manufactured home, but it's mine. Don't say but, man. Don't qualify by saying manufactured. You got a home and land and you own it. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. Be proud of that. That's pretty cool stuff, Yes, I was doing the pure drops. The 1 million was 25. I know they're expensive. I got really fortunate. She kind of gave them to me. She sent them to me. So, you know why, though? She watched the first handful of videos, and she's like, you're different. And I said, I'll promise you I'll do something crazy. We'll sell some for you. And I don't know how many she sold, but so do change the way you talk about stuff. I promise you it'll help. And take the first steps. Take the first steps doing something because, momentum doesn't start by talking. It starts by action. And that's really the truth of it. So do something, get started. Like Tommy says, make your bed. Thomas, the other two didn't have gold in it when I don't, here's what it is. I can explain it for sure. First of all, they didn't have gold in it when back in the day because it was a long time ago. It was just a bottle of clear stuff. It was a nightmare hot. The reason she put gold in it is because it's Ginchy. You look at it and gold attracts and gold sells. Goldschlager, they put gold leaf in their drink because it sells. There are places you can get steak wrapped in gold, real gold, because it sells. That's all the only reason she's doing that. It doesn't do anything. And it's really cheap stuff. You can buy leaf, gold leaf, and it goes a long way. So it's just a sales thing. I'm not knocking it. You gotta do what you gotta do to sell stuff, I say when I, not can I. It's a good thing. And it sounds silly, but it when you speak something, there is power in words. I'm proud. I got addicted to drugs back then in the Navy. Even officers were on drugs. Hey, I'm glad that you're clean. It's a beautiful thing. I'm clean too from everything. You name it, I abuse it. True story. Did I ever run any subsequent marathons? Do you want to hear the truth? I never ran another mile in my life. It hurt so much. I can't begin to tell you how much it hurt me. Making tincture pepper poppy. That's awesome. And you've been clean for 25 years. That is incredible. Stay clean. I got 15 years on the bad stuff, 6.5 on alcohol. So, yeah, I didn't get the quote right. I got it wrong. It was a Yoda reference for certain. But there's so much truth in it. But I'm telling you, the first thing is change your language and change how you think. And if you're journaling, say, I'm going to do something. Don't journal by saying, I'm going to try something. I know if I go back, even in the short time, I haven't been journaling that long in the grand scheme of things. I'm sure I've got the word try in there somewhere. On a computer, you can type in the try and see where it pops up. I can't do that with my writing, but I'm sure it's there. All right, Galthy wants to know, how could someone get a hold of that tincture, Sam? I'm sure he'll provide it. A lot of rappers have gold teeth. Gold is it's an alluring thing. And it has been since the beginning of time, and always will be. That's why they use it. Anyway, here's the bottom line, though. Mistakes are part of life, right? I say a lot that the only mistake that you're ever going to make is the mistake where you don't learn something from it. Like I ran a marathon. That was a mistake. I've never run a mile since. I haven't. In fact, I've never put on a pair of running sneakers since. I'll get sneakers, but they're not going to be running sneakers. That really hurt me. That night, when it was over, and to make matters worse, on the 15 kilometers in or so, I didn't have any water. We were supposed to have water along the way, American water, because you can't drink the Russian water. Like I can't drink this water. And there was no water. And at one point I went a long way without drinking water, and it was a hot day and humid. And I'd say, if I don't drink something, I'm going to die. So I came around a corner, and there was a station. So I drank a bunch of Russian water. And within 2 hours after finishing that, I was sick. This is funny. I was in the shower. It was a small single shower in cold water, no hot water at all. I was showering after the marathon. I dropped the soap, and you can insert your joke there. But I dropped the soap, and I couldn't pick it up. I was like, that's it. So much for the soap. I couldn't pick it up. And that night when I went to bed, we were sleeping on a wooden floor in sleeping bags. And every time I rolled over, in the middle of the night, I rolled over, and I hear a guy crying next to me. It was Chad. He's the only guy that finished the whole marathon. It took him like 6.5 hours or something. I felt bad for him. He walked most of it, but he did it. And he was just in agony. And every time he'd roll over, I could hear him cry. So I never ran again, and I don't miss it. But I learned a lot in that. You know what I mean? I learned a lot. I'll never do it again. Are there many joggers in Ecuador? Yeah, I see them every day. You see them a lot on the Malecon, the main strip here. You see them everywhere. You do see joggers. Here's the thing. If you walk around here at all, you'll get the feeling real quick that everybody here walks a lot. Everybody is very trim. And even if somebody's not trim, they have legs that look like they could walk from here to Boston. I mean, it's interesting. Everybody walks a lot here. I figured one drop whenever I wanted, it would last longer than me buying random sauces, the habit I have now. It starts with one bottle, then $50 a month for hot sauce, then $75. I've already got a crazy sauce selection here. Fortunately, everything here is less expensive. I don't think I've spent more than $3 on a bottle of hot sauce. Although I didn't tell you this, I was buying hot sauce a few days ago. I got a bunch of them, and I saw Tabasco. They had Tabasco in there, It was like $8 for a bottle of Tabasco. So you can get stuff from America here, North America here, but you're going to pay a lot of money for it. Tricky, good to see you. Finally caught a stream. This stream. How y'all doing? Probably fell asleep other nights. It's okay, not a problem. And a lot of people have been emailing me and asking about my sleep. Today, I took a nap. It was very odd. I don't usually nap. I took a nap today, and I had a weird dream during my nap. And I was in a hotel. I was looking out the window, and the hotel started to move, and then immediately the floor started to drop and turned into an elevator. It was an elevator. It just kind of became an elevator. And then I saw a person that I haven't seen in 15 years. And I woke up. But I haven't had good quality sleep in a few weeks. I kid you not, it started the first Thursday we went to the recovery center. I like running to do something, play a sport, get momentum. It's not so fun to just run to nowhere for me. Yeah, you know what? I can relate to that. When I trained, hi Sandy Wendy. When I trained, I was training in Houston to run this marathon, and I always trained at the hottest part of the day because I thought it would get me into condition faster. And it was, one day it rained. It was raining there really hard, and my father had a membership at South Shore Harbor Hotel, a gym, a nice, really beautiful gym there. And he said, I didn't want to run it outside. Feet get wet. I knew it was going to be a drag. I just didn't want to run outside. So he said, why don't you come down and run on a treadmill? So I went down, and they had a bunch of treadmills, and I got it. I ran, I don't know, it was 15 or 18 miles on a treadmill. I was running on I had a white tank top on. And the girl I was dating at the time, she ended up becoming my wife, my kid's mom. We were dating then. And she was going to meet me there to bring me something to drink. So she walked in, and she walked up, and she was horrified. She was, look at you. I looked down, and I had a white shirt, and there were streaks on my nipples, red streaks all the way down to my waist. And just from running, just from the chafing. So that's the day I realized that you got to put Band-Aids on your nipples. It is what it is. Also, you got to put like Vaseline on your thighs, your inner thighs, because if you don't, if you do this for 26 miles, you're going to have a problem. So anyway, here's the deal. I've got a lot of stuff in my life I need to do. There's no option for failure. There isn't. I don't know if I just take on things where failure is not an option, or I just see things differently, but failure is not an option doing the things I'm doing right now. You know what's a burden right now for me? We're going out, we're helping these men, 32 men at a recovery center. The first day we went, it was a nightmare. The guys were in tough shape. One in particular, we went back 1 week later, and the difference in the place was incredible. More plants. I showed pictures here. But the person that was and I have a great video. I'm going to get permission from him this weekend if he's okay with me showing it, just because I want you to see how amazing this dude looks. But when I was out at the recovery center, one thing that I heard, and it makes sense. There's nothing really in place for women, for young girls that have that are addicted, and they are so abused here and everywhere. But here, the stories that you hear are horrific, and that is killing me. It's bumming me out. I don't know what to do about it. Was it the old G.I. Joe cartoons where they always said failure is not an option, or am I thinking something else? You know what? It could be. I wasn't a G.I. Joe dude for cartoons. I was more of a Looney Tunes. Again, remember, I'm elderly, long in the tooth, as it were. Triggy, you could try anything, and just try it once if you like it, and keep at it. That's true, but trying, like, I'm going to try something new, like I'm going to try painting. That's different than saying I've got like something on your list that needs to get done. Like, for instance, and the reason I say that, Triggy, the emails I get, and I'm not joking, I get a lot of them. A lot of them are, I guess, I'm trying to do this, or I'm trying to accomplish this. You know what I mean? None of these things the emails I'm getting are things like, I'd like to try painting. Then you can try it. Obviously, if it's something new you want, of course you can try it. The only way you're going to find out if you like it is if you try it. And I agree with that 100%, but I'm talking more specifically about things on your list that you're putting in the back of your mind that you're putting off because you don't want to do it. Or, the things that I'm seeing that people talk to me about are things that they should be. And like I said, there may be somebody here that got the email. The first thing it says is, hey, first of all, stop saying you're going to try to do something. Do it. You got to do it. The developing world is harsh on women. Yeah, it is. And you can always try Reaper sauce. And I did, Kellyanne. You know, I'm very proud. My tolerance is rising. So, well, here's one way. I think Sam says, how so? I think you're talking about what he said, developing world. Here, and I'm not sure about, Sam lives in the Philippines. Here, I can just tell you it's bad. The prostitution is legal here. When I was a kid, everybody's first job was a waiter, a bellhop. If young girls, if they don't have something, that's often their first job, and that is horrific. So and granted, it may be legal. Who's frequenting them? People that come here on vacation. I don't know, but that's my guess. So that's one way that I think, and the fact that there is no programs here at all to help young girls that are addicted, but there are programs for men. That's a problem. That's a problem. Arla says, you're not elderly. Compared to what? Compared to that picture of that young guy I showed you a few minutes ago? Yeah, a little bit. I'm agreeing with Johnny when he says women are abused where he lives. Yeah, where I live, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, here's the thing. While it is tough, I got to tell you something. I see people here, and Tommy's talked about it. I see people here, or you're in the U.S. for now. That's pretty cool. I know you miss it. I see people here that have nothing by the standards in America, North America, and they're the happiest people I've ever talked to. I've talked to, through some of them are people at the church, believe it or not. There are some locals, but if you just look, you'll never see anything but a smile on people's faces here, and they're happy with what they've got. I don't think they're, when we were at the camp, the recovery center, 32 guys we were talking to. It didn't matter the 32 guys. There are other people that worked there, right? There were a few more people that were helping out over and above the 32 guys that are getting help. Nobody had heard of YouTube. Maybe I'm just shocked by that because it's so prevalent where, and I make a living on it. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's lots of parts of the world where no one's heard of YouTube, but it was stunning to hear that. We couldn't even, trying to explain the concept of what YouTube is to people that don't know what YouTube is. We first got to try to introduce the concept of the internet. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. Those are kind of one extreme size. We can agree. I don't think that's, at least for inside the U.S., I would say that's right. But if you think that's only something that's happening in Ecuador, I'm sure it's happening in Peru, Argentina, Colombia, Brazil. I'm sure of it. I know it's happening in Russia. So it's happening, and that's a developed country, right? So I don't think there's an even playing field at all, but I'm going to figure out something to do to help. It's not a try. I'm going to figure it out. You hear me say that? I didn't say I'm going to try. I said I'm going to figure out a way to help. I don't know what capacity it'll be. I have no clue. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's something that happens all over the world. And you know what, Pepper Poppy? I'm sure, Sam, I'm sure it's happening in the U.S. Don't think it isn't. I promise you it's happening in the U.S. I have to believe it is. I just believe it is. I'm glad I'm a man. I'm very happy that I'm a man. But that's a fact right there. But men in America are treated as the big bad evil. That is a fact. What's funny? You should see how I'm treated here. I think probably because I'm a gringo, and they think, everybody here is so kind to me. It's incredible. Kristen says it puts things in perspective for sure. I see a lot of things as problems that may not be so big in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, they would have to know about the internet, or maybe getting them started using computer, printer, develop their skills, and then the internet will follow. Then YouTube, social media. Yeah, but you know what, though? Even though they didn't understand, this is really cool. Even though they didn't understand what YouTube was at all, when we said we have a bunch of people, like people all over the place that are praying for you, that lit them up. They could not believe that there are people in different parts of the world that don't know who they are that are willing to pray for them. That blew them away. It was very cool. How cyberpunk is South America, or just rough? I'm not sure what you mean by cyberpunk, to be frank with you. I'm just being honest. Here's the thing. It's rough depending on where you go. You know what I mean? For instance, I live on the Malecon, which is translate to boardwalk. All right, I live on boardwalk. This is the tourist spot of all of. This is they call it the Little Miami, or the Miami of South America. Okay, and so there's nothing here at all. Everything, there's not been a rape or a murder here. You can't even. I looked for the last overdose in here. I can't even find it in this city. However, if I want to drive to Guayaquil or Quito, Guayaquil is a rough place. I believe it's the murder capital of South America. There's a lot of bad stuff that are happening there. Drugs, like for instance, drugs. It's bad. It's bad. Blitz. In Thailand, parents sell their children. I'm sure it's not just in Thailand. Here's the bottom line. We're infected. This world is infected bad. And Tommy was talking about this morning. Are we past the point of no return? Can we fix the world? You know what my answer is? It may sound gloomy. There's no way we can fix the world. How about that? But can you fix you? I can fix me. I've done it, right? Now, if everybody said that, I can fix me, then yeah, we can fix the world like that. Maybe not like that, but we can absolutely fix the world. But fixing the world, no way. Does everyone walk around looking at their phones there? No, not at all. Hey, Jeremy, good to see you, bro. No, it's a beautiful thing. Today, Tommy and I were walking to the hardware store, and we see a mom and a daughter. And I don't mean the daughter's 12. I mean the daughter's probably 30, maybe 40, walking with a mom, and they're holding hands. You see that all the time here. It's you don't see people staring at their phones. You really don't. I mean, if I looked for it, I'm sure I could find people, but in America, I mean, people would trip and fall down everywhere. In fact, one of the big dangers of South America, especially this city, is that people trip a lot. And that's because the sidewalks aren't quite as even in some places as in America. Lots of up and downs, lots of steps, and a lot of people walking around like this. So, and what's funny? The first 2 weeks you were here, it happened to me. I wasn't on my phone. I think I was putting my phone in my pocket, but I wasn't doing one of these things. And I tripped and fell and got tremendously scraped up. We can't fix it, but we can bring hope and light to people that need it. We can. And the best thing that we could all do is fix ourselves and fix your families. For real. Like, we can't win a war, but you can win little battles. And that's a little battle. And by winning a ton of little battles, we can win the war. But you can't do it by thinking you're going to win the war. It takes winning little battles. You know what I mean? I don't know. So, yeah, human trafficking and abuse is a huge issue worldwide. It sure is. It sure is. Yeah, it's a tough thing. And you know what? It's very easy to get bogged down and have it destroy you if you think about it too much. That's why it's really good to try to do something. Today I was staying there. I actually made a short, but I haven't uploaded it. I think I will. I saw a guy walking around on the beach. He didn't have anything like a vest or a hat that would lead you to believe that he was out there working. Getting paid to do what he's doing is what I meant. Thank you, Kristen Melinda. That's pretty cool. But you know what he was doing? He had a bag in his hand, and he was picking up garbage on the beach. When I say garbage, he had a small bag. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of garbage on the beach, but this is a holiday weekend. It's Cantonization Day, which is 1937. They cantonized Ecuador. At any rate, there's pride in the city. There's no dirt anywhere. So can we clean up an entire beach, or entire city? Nah, but got people like that. He's not getting paid to do that. He's out there. He doesn't want to see it. You know, Tommy and I watched a video yesterday about Albuquerque, New Mexico, called the Battle Zone or the War Zone. It's an area. It's almost like what Kensington Street was probably 10 years ago. It's getting worse by the minute. But you can't. There was a person behind the camera and a host, and they were walking. And every 6 feet, you'd see needles. Every 6 feet, there were needles on the ground, caps, just evidence of drug use. Every 6 feet. I'm not kidding you. And it bummed me out. Maybe that's what created. There was like a heavy mood over me when I woke up this morning. I did. I felt it. Feel a lot better now. But we can't fix the world, but you can fix yourself. I believe that. You know. Want to hear something stupid? I see teens in America staring at their phones while riding by. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you this. What I have seen a lot, you don't see people walking around looking at their phones. You really don't. But Tommy and I, at least on 10 occasions, because we've pointed out as it's happening, we've seen people on motorcycles, on the Malcone, on a motorcycle, looking at their phone while on a bike. I swear to you, we see that fairly frequently. It's pretty crazy. This is interesting. War conversation that has taken over the world. People talking about WW3, warmongering dictators. You know what? There's big money in war, man. Best thing for a failing economy? A war. It's not fun to talk about, but that's the truth. I don't like seeing it. I don't want it to happen. Trust me, I don't. As a Christian, I believe we have already won the war, but we have all these little battles we have to fight. Yep. We can never neglect the battle we have to wage with ourselves. That's one thing that's going on right now is there's a battle going on. For real. I feel it every day. I'm not sure if you're talking about Thailand. Again, I think that's probably something that happens. I know that's depressing, very depressing. You know, let's see. I've never heard of that, Thomas. The whole place is covered in cameras that even track how long it takes you to go to pee. You know what? That's another thing that's pretty interesting about here is I am a J Metal. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Stephen Marshall. Good to see you. Nikki, greetings. I'm glad you guys are here. Cameras in America. If you walk, when I lived there, if I got out of my house and just drove around for a half hour and came home, I was probably going to get caught on 50 cameras, 100 cameras on streets, doorways, everywhere. Every house has one on their door. How many times have you seen a YouTube video where somebody gets caught because the police go into a house? Hey, do you have your camera on? Let me see what you got. And they see a truck going by. Happens all the time. Here, there are no cameras anywhere. When I go to the bank, there are cameras in the bank. And that's a drag. That's one of the drags about it. The bank is a bummer to go to. It takes every time I walk into the bank, I'm not even joking you. I've never gotten out of the bank in less than a half hour. There's only 2 windows. There's 3 slots, but only 2 of them are ever occupied. And there's always a line. I was in there the other day, right? And it's funny. There's a guy that the head guard. And he's the head guard. You can tell he looks like the head guard and kind of acts like the head guard. He's standing there, and I had a pair of sunglasses on. And he taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, he points up at the camera. I went, oh, okay. They want to see who I am. I took my glass off. You're not allowed to wear glasses in the bank. I thought that was kind of interesting. Then I'm paying. I was paying a bill actually. And so I had the invoice on my phone. So I don't have it anywhere else but on my phone. So I'm getting the invoice ready because I'm like 2 away from being at the window. And it's nervous because you get nervous a lot here. I do. So I'm getting ready. He comes over and taps me again. He looks exactly like Newman from Seinfeld, a shorter Ecuadorian version of Newman. I swear, the first time I saw him, I'm like, that dude looks like Newman. And he tapped on the shoulder and tells me to put my phone away. And what I want to say was, dude, I need my phone. So anyway, I waited until I got to the window and I pulled my phone in. And everybody's fine if you do it at the window. But they're on you at the bank. You're talking about working at Amazon. I gotcha. Having cameras everywhere. Yeah. There are cameras everywhere. True story, man. Everywhere. My wife walked into a stop sign, not head on sideways, and split her head open from nose to forehead while she was texting on the phone and walking. I'm sorry that happened. I was in O'Hare Airport once, and it was funny. I just got off a plane, and I was getting ready to catch another one, and I saw a crowd of people, and there must have been, this was cell phones, but before cameras were on every cell phone. I'm sure people had them, but I didn't have one that had a camera. This is a long time ago. But I'm telling you, there must have been 100 people, and every single person had their phone up. And they were all aiming the same direction. It looked like something you were setting up for a picture, like a special picture or something, but it was bizarre. Crazy to think that after crawling out of primordial swamp, our destiny the whole time was to construct a superintelligence, all that to render our own existence obsolete. But why, though? Well, first of all, we didn't crawl out of a primordial swamp. Sorry, Dane. I'm sure you probably know that, but it's a strange thing, though. Right now, man, existence is very, very weird right now. Question, Nikki. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion about the swamp thing. What do you think of these people that stand outside businesses to record people to post on social media? I think it's a form of harassment. I think they call them auditors. They go to like I saw, if that's what you're talking about. You know what? They're just looking to get arrested. I don't dig it. They're looking to push people to the point where something bad happens or just get people's, that's just not me. I don't watch that kind of content. It's just not me. I don't dig it. I think it's a form of harassment. What is this? A form of just being an a-hole. I'm sorry, but that's the truth of it. I'm sorry if somebody here is an auditor. I apologize. You feel people around here have much more free time to chat face to face. If they don't have much of it. Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. Everything right now is with a screen, Triggy. You know what I mean? Hey, Tom Broom, no rainforest in the forest. No cameras in the forest. Yeah, you're right. There are no cameras in the forest. When I was a kid, I saw a quote that in 84, which is funny because that's the year I graduated high school. They said in 84, I don't remember the number, a tremendously high number of kids spent an average of 2 or 3 hours a day with their friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's all we did. We hung out with our friends. Today, so few kids hang out with friends. They don't. They play video games. And I sound like the old guy, get off my porch, get off my lawn. But it's the truth that we've lost people. It's a skill set, talking to people and communicating. And if you don't do it, I'm telling you, you can lose that. And I saw a funny video about a father with his son was picking up another kid to go somewhere, and that they were standing there and they couldn't talk. And the father was like, "You're always on your phones. Why are you not talking?" Right now, they a screenager. You know what I mean? It's a scary time that we're in. Blitz. Would like to see videos of you two riding mopeds there. You know what? Bikes are a huge part of the population as far as transportation. I would say it's 50-50 almost. Tons and tons of bikes. Yeah, I don't watch them. They're a drag. The auditors, I won't watch that. There's Tom Broom, the legend, because he is. There's a dude. I don't know if you still have people. We've been talking about tincture. People are making it. If you got some tincture, if you want some, I don't know if Tom has any more, but he makes really great tincture. Talking about auditors, Nikki says, I don't understand the point of them doing it. To upset folks. And for what? To get a lawsuit? Well, not just a lawsuit, to get views. People do everything for views. Listen, I could be doing, if I change my content up, I promise you I can get so many more views, but I don't want to act like a fool. You know what I mean? I'd rather have 45 amazing people hanging out with me than having a large audience because I'm an idiot and I do stupid things. Thank God the internet wasn't around when I was young. Thank God there wasn't like social media platforms when I was a kid. I can't imagine being a young person now dealing with it. I can't fathom it. Like, I loathe social media. I don't like Facebook. I'm not on it anymore. I can't delete it for the life of me. I spent a couple hours trying to. It's almost impossible to delete a Facebook page. So it's still sitting there. I don't care what people are saying because I'm not there. It's like the tree that falls in the woods. Does it make a noise if nobody's there? Who cares? Nobody's there. You know what I mean? If I don't care what people say about me on social media because I'm not there. And 90% of the time when someone says something about me, it's not the truth. Anyway, the cell phone was still just a tool. I used to go hang out with my friends. Well, yeah, all we did. Look at this. We spent all day with our friends, going everywhere around town, and nobody bothered us. There was nothing to be afraid of. We live in a different age. When I was a kid, my mom used to kick my brother and I out of the house in the morning, kick us out, and she'd ring a bell. She'd ring a bell. I kid you not. Swear to you. For lunch, we go have lunch. She'd say, "Go," and she'd ring a bell at dinner time. Now, would you let your kid? I mean, we had a lot of land. It was in Vermont. It was a safe place. You know what I mean? But even in Vermont, I would never like the idea of doing that now. Holy moly. I couldn't do it. Tommy Burr said, it's rough for me personally dealing with the public. If I'm busy at work, I'm like, yeah, just go home, people. Don't forget my tip. It's really easy. And that's the problem. It's really it's easy. Please don't do that. Katie, sometimes it's a lot easier just to be by your onesie to avoid it all. You know what I mean? See that? 45 amazing people versus a horde of acting dumb. Very wise. It doesn't pay the bills, but it's easier to put my head on the pillow. You know what I mean? Actually begs an interesting question. Do you think that evolution, Big Bang, and Christian beliefs are mutually exclusive? I certainly have reconciled that God could have just flipped the switch, bang. Oh, here's the way I look at it. I've had people that, if you listen to Elon Musk thinks that we're in a simulation. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. You want to know what my thoughts are? Because I've had this conversation with somebody. They say, well, what if we are in a simulation? What if this really is a simulation? And you know what I say? Well, God made the simulation. Doesn't change a thing for me at all. So I don't, here's what I look at. There are things that I need to know about. I'm not trying to give you a cop-out answer, but there are things that I need to know about, and there are things that I don't need to know about. There are things I need answers for, and there are things that I don't. I chalked it up to something I don't really need to know about. You know what I mean? What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Please don't do that. Come on, Katie. Here, why don't you get in the basket? Come here. You're funny, Thomas. Donate to adopt the pepper plant. I mean, we paid Johnny to buy a pepper plant, and we support it. Don't do that, but that's funny. The chili head within you needs those views, though. If you hadn't had a platform, now you wouldn't have an audience. And yeah, you're right. Hey, you know what? You're bumming me out, Kat. Please. Hey. Remember when she was a teeny little kitten? No, she's not a teeny little kitten anymore. You gotta do me a favor. Stop chewing on stuff, please. Anyway, you're right. It's a fact. If I didn't do the pepper thing and hurt myself for 8 years, nobody would know who I was. If I went on live, I wouldn't have anybody watching me. Bella Lagrisi, good to see you. She's a great cat. She's a beautiful. She's got a wonderful personality. She's very affectionate. In the morning, when she wants me to wake up, she bangs her head against me. She also bites. That's the way she kisses. Her kisses are bites. And in the daytime, when she bites, it's just the softest little nibble. I kid you not. In the morning, when she bites, she has sunk her teeth into my hand on a few occasions. I'm like, hey, she'd make a noise. Gouthie, not a cat person, but that one is gorgeous. If you hung around her, you'd be a cat person. She's a good person. She's young. She's got a lot of growing up to do, but she has a good mentor. Squirrel's an awesome cat. Thomas says there's a difference between eating soup rots versus doing what Johnny Somali did. Wow, huh? Can I tell you something? I'm embarrassed about that dude. Like, I don't like the Tommy and I, he got an email that suggested that Tommy and I were tourism, influencer tourism, where you go, you see it, Vitali, Poseidon, Ice, whatever his name is, Ice Poseidon, Johnny Somali, they go to, different countries and do things that, like, I'm telling you, if I did that, I'd get off the plane and they'd arrest me. I can't believe that they get away with what they're doing, but I don't like people to think that. I hate the fact that they make their living sitting in front of a camera, and I do too. But we are not the same. We don't do the same things. And I hate the fact that his first name is Johnny. It bothers me. Oh, it really does.
on the right side is not as well.
Yeah, that's a fact. Well, me either. So that works. It could be a different one, right?
Yep.
I didn't know he was going to do this stuff though. Anyway, so if you listen, I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I don't know why you're listening to me, but just try to stop saying, I'm trying to do something. Stop saying that. Say I'm going to do something. The second you say try, you're opening the door like, hey, I could fail. That's why we're going to call it trying. True or false? When I ran the marathon, dude, did I ever say I'm going to try to run a marathon?
Nope.
Honestly.
You wrote on every water jug. This is done. I've already done this.
True story. I'd rather be the guy who fails after saying for 90 days, I'm going to do this, than versus the guy who says, I'm going to try and then fail. I don't know. So put that to bed. Quit saying stuff like that. You know what I mean? When you journal, think about it. Words, honest to God, when you write stuff down, they become tangible. It's not an idea. If you have goals and they're just in your head, it's just an idea. It's a thought. You write it down, words. You write it down, it takes on new life. It becomes tangible. And words matter. I kid you not, words matter. That's why I think I can. I think like the little choo-choo that thought I could. When I told the story before, though. I came home from work. I was working at the dating service I worked at. And I got like a half day off a week. It was the first year I worked there. I had 7 days off the first year. And my kid's mom will testify to that. She almost left me over that. 7 days off in 365 days. And 3 of them were Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. True story. I came home on a break once. And my son, he was little. My oldest son was little. And he was watching. I was in the kitchen with my kid's mom, and I heard the thing. I think I can. And my son is saying, I think I can. When the video was over, I took the tape. Well, let's just say he never, ever watched that again. I don't want, I can't help make you guys say it, but I didn't let my son say it. You guys can do everything. Change the way you talk, change the way you think, and it'll change your behavior, it'll change your results. Question or comment. Oops, I've been attacked by a cat when I was a kid. I still have scars to prove it. Oh, me too. Me too. Forget about it. It happens. I live in the South. Can I still say I'm fixing to? Yeah, you know something, Jade? I have a friend named Carlos. At the time I lived in Texas, he was a really, really close friend of mine for a while. In fact, I reviewed a sauce that his brother made for this channel. And he said that Texas was the land of repair because they're fixing everything. That's what he said. All right, you guys, I appreciate you listening to me babble. I don't know. You guys can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to. Don't say try. Don't leave the door open. Like if you said, I'm going to try to leave the room. When you leave the room, shut the door behind you. So you've executed it. Be kind. Tell someone you love them. And make sure you catch the guru, Tommy Scoville, coming up next. See what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm Johnny Scoville, and this was Chase the Heat, South America.